A lavish banquet hall appears, sparkling under a grand chandelier that reflects off the gilded marble floors. Immediately after, the grand doors creak eerily before suddenly banging open, silencing the music and the festive atmosphere. The entire hall turns at once, everyone staring in frozen shock at the person who just arrived. Then the villainous Kalife Offenser enters like a needle piercing the air, her long golden hair and gown fluttering in the breeze. Under the lights, Kalife's sharp face reveals ruby-red eyes and a tight-lipped expression of cold indifference. Meanwhile, the nobles begin to whisper, "Is that Lady Kalife Offenser?" But she doesn't bother glancing at anyone. Kalife strides straight ahead with the urgent clicking of her heels, moving at an unusually fast pace. Standing before her is Baron Abnormal, a middle-aged man wearing a forced, polite smile. He greets her politely and asks why she's here. Kalife coldly replies that she has a gift for him. Just as the Baron brightens up, Kalife suddenly splashes wine right in his face with a sharp splat. Gasps ring out from every corner as the entire hall feels the chill of this shocking act. Recovering his senses, Baron Abnormal roars in humiliation, "Lady Offenser, what is the meaning of this?" Kalife fixes him with an icy stare and mentions cost efficiency regarding the children, making him stiffen as she hits a nerve. Visions of dark mines appear, where defenseless children are thrown into narrow crevices to labor until exhaustion. Next, she pours the remaining wine over his head and whispers, "Never touch the children again, you piece of trash." Kalife tosses her handkerchief into his face and turns away, causing the Baron's rage to officially explode. He loses his mind and lunges from behind, cursing, while the crowd holds its breath to see her fall. But the moment his hand is about to touch her shoulder, a system window suddenly appears, executing the role of Kalife. An intangible force pushes Kalife aside, causing the Baron to grab thin air and leaving him utterly confused. Every eye widens in shock, as no one can grasp what kind of trick just took place. Freed from the system's force, Kalife's defensive instincts awaken, and she spins sharply into a counterattack. Her arm swings out, delivering a crisp slap to the Baron's cheek that seems to tear through the air. He staggers from the blow, while Kalife stands tall and proud, earning the silent admiration of the onlookers. Icy on the outside but with a pounding heart, she thinks to herself, "Wow, Kalife really is good at hitting people." Instinctively, she stabs his knee with her sharp heel, forcing the Baron down as she coldly commands, "Kneel." Watching him collapse, Kalife reminds him that this is the proper eye level between them before exiting the hall. Once outside, the system announces she has blocked the illegal mine labor route, eliminating a bad ending for Noah. However, checking the available routes leaves her stunned, as they are all labeled death. She panics, clutching her hair, "I'm doing good deeds here, give me a way to survive, please." In reality, Kalife Offenser is the sole direct heir of House Offenser, known as the Golden Rose of high society, beautiful but ruthless. In the world of My Little Noah, where players raise a boy named Noah, Kalife was originally just a minor villainess. She recalls when she first inhabited this body, forced to slap Noah and call him a dirty rat. Watching Noah get drenched in cold tea and dragged away, she felt internally frantic with regret and guilt. After days of struggle, she finally regains control of her body and begins sending gifts to make amends. She prepares various pastries tailored to Noah's tastes but insists on sending them anonymously to avoid making him wary. When the maid asks for the anonymous name, she sticks with the cringeworthy The Supreme, Decent Blonde Fairy. This time she includes a note of encouragement, but the maid turns pale, misinterpreting it as a threat. Not bothering to explain, Kalife coldly dismisses the maid, who bolts out as if racing against a deadline. Staring into the mirror at her radiant beauty, Kalife vows to survive and meet Noah in person. Just thinking about the meeting makes her palms sweaty, forcing her to practice a gentle smile to look less intimidating. Suddenly, a knock rings out, the head maid enters and jumps in fright at the sight of her expression. The head maid recoils in terror, thinking Kalife is plotting something sinister, forcing her to quickly drop the look. After composing herself, she delivers a message from Viscount Kaimun stating Kalife will be punished for the banquet disturbance. Finally, she bitterly realizes her status has plummeted so low that even the messenger treats her with no respect. 2 weeks ago, at the very moment I possessed this body, the turmoil within House Opensa officially began. Duke Opensa, the powerful Grand Mage and Kalife's grandfather, suddenly collapsed and fell into a deep coma. Rumor has it he met with an accident while attempting to break through to the 8-star realm. For the powerful, failure can sometimes demand a heavy price. Seizing the opportunity, Kaiman, the Duke's disciple, styled himself Viscount and brazenly seized power as if it were his birthright. He was a fallen noble taken in by my grandfather, but lately, he's been meddling more in family affairs than the magic tower, which is highly suspicious. Even though Kaiman hasn't said it outright, the surrounding atmosphere seems to have already tacitly accepted him as the new master. However, the Duke hasn't officially announced an heir. To swallow this family whole, Kaiman must eliminate me, the sole direct descendant, from the board. I realize the Viscount has shed his mask of humility to reveal his true nature. If I'm not mistaken, this is his next move. I deliberately act insolent, asking in a provocative tone exactly how they plan to punish me. The head maid responds with a gleeful glint in her eyes, as if she is thoroughly enjoying this moment. She strictly announces the order: young miss is to leave the main residence and move to the West Annex immediately. I immediately act completely shocked, screaming, "What? You dare force me to that dilapidated place?" I cover my mouth to feign horror, but in reality, I'm hiding the smirk twitching on my lips. I remember well that a direct descendant pushed out of the main residence is effectively kicked out of the succession race. This was bound to become my problem sooner or later. That wretched West Annex is the seal of failure they want to brand me with for the whole world to see. Sensing that, I decided to accelerate the timeline to use it to my advantage. The scene at the banquet was just a pretext for Kaiman to exile me. Though I could leave on my own, I don't want Kaiman getting suspicious of my sudden change in personality, as that would negatively affect Noah. My mouth screams West Annex, but inside, I'm trembling with joy because the plan worked perfectly. Simply because that place is the closest to Noah's servant quarters. Then the head maid holds out a box, saying the Viscount thoughtfully sent a gift, fearing I'd be too distressed. Inside the box is a brooch inlaid with a glittering blue stone. A sudden gift. Kaiman surely just wants to feign concern to provoke me, but this stone is truly innocent. I snap, "You think this trinket can soothe me?" Then reach out to snatch the brooch. Instantly, my head spins and a wave of intense nausea hits, making me hunch over, unable to stand steady. The head maid suppresses a mocking laugh. "Young miss should at least be able to endure that. It is a magic artifact, after all." She explains that anyone with basic mana can use a magic artifact, except for me. Those words trigger memories of House Opensa in my head. This was a prestigious magic family, producing countless high-level mags. And yet I, the first direct descendant, am entirely incompatible with mana. Even a light touch causes a negative reaction. It turns out the real reason I was stripped of my title is that someone who cannot use magic cannot be the head of this noble family. Kalife was once called a magic prodigy, but now she's just a failure. This truth was never revealed in the game. But this is my story now, and I won't let anyone laugh at me and get away with it. I pick up the brooch, tightening my facial muscles to suppress the nausea while glaring at the head maid. I change my tone. "This suits you better than me, I'll give it to you as a gift." Her eyes instantly gleam with greed. I confirm, "Of course, I'm serious," then grip the pin firmly, smiling as I close in on her. I whisper, "It would look beautiful piercing through that big mouth of yours. Come here." She turns pale and tries to retreat. But I quickly grab her wrist and yank her back, ignoring her panicked pleas. I coldly warn her, words once spoken cannot be taken back. Be careful. Right then, a system notification appears: execute the role of Kalife. I freeze. Her? My hand suddenly jerks as if pulled by a string, striking the head maid's lip and making her scream in agony as she collapses. Despite the nausea, I calmly tap the brooch against her chin. No need to refuse. "Is there anything else that suits you? I know I've just moved closer to a deadly end." After that, the scene shifts to the old West Annex being thoroughly cleaned by the servants. Even in exile, this place exudes aristocratic luxury. It seems falling from a prestigious family still has its perks. I leisurely stroll deeper inside, wanting to explore the rooms still covered in a shroud of dust. Stopping before an old door, I wonder if this is the bedroom. Dust lies thick in every corner, and debris is scattered across the floor. Everything looks as if it's been abandoned for over 10 years. Suddenly, I spot a clean piece of paper standing out amidst the mess. It's a drawing of a strange insect with unusually long legs. The lines are clumsy but clearly drawn with care. I find more similar drawings scattered along the hallway, as if someone dropped them while in a hurry. The trail ends at a small hole near the floor at the back of the annex. This is definitely a secret entrance. The hole is so small even I would struggle to squeeze through. It must belong to the young servants. But from now on, I can't have strangers coming and going where I live. I immediately order the servants to seal up this mouse hole and inspect the entire house. The servants bow and accept the order, hurrying to prepare their tools without a second's delay. Late at night, as the cleaners head out, the West Annex sinks into a dusty, heavy silence. Immediately after, a small figure timidly peeks out from the dark corner behind a pile of hay. It's a child with hair matted in ash and dust covering most of their face, eyes darting around warily. Only when sure that everyone is gone, the child dashes toward the back wall, home to their favorite secret passage. The child hurriedly pulls aside the camouflage grass, expecting the familiar exit to appear. But unlike usual, the secret passage is completely blocked by a stone from the inside. The child stands frozen, eyes wide with confusion, unable to understand what's going on. In a panic, tiny bony hands push with all their might against the cold stone. However, all efforts are in vain as the stone remains stubbornly immovable. Refusing to give up, the child gathers all their strength for one more desperate push. Finally, the child lets out a heavy gasp from exhaustion, yet the stone hasn't budged an inch. The makeshift blockage starts to wobble slightly, leaving the child flustered and hopeless. Aware that adult strength is needed to move this stone, the child still can't bring themselves to leave. The child remembers the important drawings they worked so hard on, but left behind in the rush to escape. Just then, a worker's voice cuts in. Is someone there? Huh! A child. That worker has a muscular arm, more than strong enough to help reopen the secret passage. Instead, the child immediately bolts away without a single backward glance. The thought haunts them: adults are a dangerous, irresponsible species that can never be trusted. And the most untrustworthy adult of all is Kalife. In just a few days, with the mag's help, the West Annex has completely transformed into a dignified ancient manor. Though outsiders revere mags, in Hausopensa, they're just skilled laborers under the 4-generation powerful family head. I click my tongue in regret. If I were the Duke's favorite youngest child, I'd have scooped up this entire fortune. Meanwhile, I turn my head and use opera glasses to examine the people passing by in the distance. I'm currently on the terrace looking for Noah. Now that I'm living alone, I don't have to worry about anyone's gaze. The goal is to grasp Noah's schedule for a natural approach. Black hair, blue eyes, a cute little kid. But why can't I find any trace of him? Is Noah actually even in this mansion? Feeling the strain on my eyes, I lower the glasses and look toward the notebook on the table. Those are the crucial notes about the My Little Noah game I managed to write down before my memories faded. In this game, the Guardian raises Noah to unlock different endings based on his stats. The Pope ending requires choosing the Saintess as Guardian, but a true hardcore player like me prioritizes a different path. That's right, the special stat I'm targeting is filial piety. The hidden ending only opens when Noah reaches max filial piety, but with his past here, opening his heart is near impossible. Filial piety potions are mandatory to avoid rebellion events, but unfortunately, they only boost the stat to 80. I lick my lips in regret. Having collected every other ending, that hidden one remains an unsolved mystery. Wait, I'm not the Guardian, why care about filial piety? I should just focus on gathering death flags. Suddenly, a key piece of info pops up. Noah said he'd be going to the library this noon. Immediately, I leave the terrace and head straight toward Hausopensa's central library. This place holds a massive collection of magic tomes. Within the mansion alone, there are 2 extremely solemn libraries. It's my first time here since transmigrating, yet my body leads the way as if equipped with built-in GPS. Every path just appears in my mind without effort. Did the former Kalife use this library often? I muse to myself, perhaps she once scoured this place for a way to cure her mana incompatibility. In blurred memories, Kalife was once a child prodigy burdened with immense expectations, before her mother died in an accident. Brushing off the past, I continue following the path my body knows all too well. I've arrived. The massive, heavy library doors exude a pressure that makes one dare not make a sound. Suddenly, a violent shout rings out as the door bursts open. "Who let you crawl in here? You filthy thing." A small child is roughly thrown out, landing with a thud on the cold stone floor in a disheveled state. I grit my teeth in anger. Tossing a child like trash is truly the work of scumbags. Just as I'm about to step forward, the librarian bellows a name that hits my ears like thunder. "Know your place, Noah." Noah! Oh my God, turns out that grey furball crawling on the ground is the very person I've been searching for. Noah stands up with resilient stoicism, quietly pulls out a note, and hands it to the librarian. The librarian pinches the paper with his index finger in utter disdain, as if holding something filthy. After reading it, his face softens only to curl into an unpleasant smirk. "Ah, errands for Colburn." Colburn. I remember now, that's the third-rate swordsmanship instructor I hired just for show for Noah. The librarian starts bullying. "Why didn't you say so? Want a beating?" While Noah only replies with a cold "yeah." He growls, mocking Noah for being so insolent and blunt now that his backing is gone. Finally, he waves him away, warning Noah to get the books and get lost, and not to touch anything else. Noah heads deeper inside, while the librarian stays behind, watching the child's back with a sinister grin. Sensing something is wrong, I quietly shadow Noah into the library. Inside, Noah holds the note, scanning each bookshelf with meticulous patience. The boy matches every word on the paper with the book spines on the shelves, fully focused on his task. From the opposite side, I slowly lower my book to observe Noah through the gap between the shelves. Noah's hair is so thick and hasn't been cut in so long that it covers his eyes. No wonder I couldn't find him. Noah keeps fumbling through the narrow aisles. Just watching him makes me feel anxious for the boy. Finally, Noah lets out a relieved "ah" as he locates the book he needs. But unfortunately, that book is on the top shelf, way too high for him to reach. Seeing Noah look so helpless, I'm dying to jump in and help. After all, it's just human kindness, right? Right then, the librarian suddenly appears from a hidden corner bringing a ladder. "Need this?" Noah just silently nods and accepts it without a word. After handing over the ladder, the librarian doesn't forget a mocking jab. "Use it carefully." He gives an ominous, leering grin before finally turning away to vanish among the shelves. Noah ignores him, his expression unchanged as he begins to unfold the ladder's joints. The boy persistently climbs each step to reach the book high above. Just as Noah nears the top, the ladder suddenly emits a sharp crack and starts swaying dangerously. I look down at the ladder's base in shock and discover that one side was already broken. Fury erupts in my mind. Is this crazy librarian actually trying to get Noah killed? Seeing Noah struggling on that broken ladder makes my heart skip a beat. I just want to rush out right now. That librarian is truly insane. Is he trying to kill the boy? Immediately after, Noah miraculously regains his balance, reaches out to grab the book, and spins down to the ground in a flash. The boy lands cleanly as if he's all too used to such dangerous situations, his footsteps hitting the floor with absolute certainty. For a moment, Noah reaches out his small hand as if wanting to touch something, but then he timidly freezes. Immediately after, the boy recoils in fear. I tell myself now isn't the time for explanations. I need to smile to reassure him. I try to force a gentle smile to tell Noah not to be afraid, but unfortunately, my facial muscles are stiff and awkward. As soon as he sees my smile, Noah bolts as if he's seen a ghost without even looking back once. My chest suddenly feels hollow, but it's fine. I expected this result anyway, as long as he isn't hurt. Meanwhile, I continue to quietly shadow Noah from a distance to observe. After a while of searching, the boy finally gathers all the books on the list. Noah strains to carry a towering stack of books that hides his face, walking heavily as if carrying a small mountain in his arms. The librarian glares at the boy with disdain, clicking his tongue and wearing an unpleasant smirk, clearly plotting some malicious prank. He mocks Noah and pretends to drop a quill, intentionally asking if it's lying right under the boy's feet. The moment Noah bows his head, the wretched librarian shoves the stack of books on the desk, sending them crashing toward the boy. Next, I quickly dart out from my hiding spot, embracing Noah to act as a shield to protect him. The books strike my back and shoulders with agonizing force, but I refused to let go, vowing to protect Noah at all costs. Through his messy grey hair, I gaze into Noah's clear blue eyes and can't help but say, "Your eyes are truly beautiful." Immediately, the librarian rushes out screaming accusations. I snap upright, fury exploding in my eyes. I bark straight into his face and deliver a thunderous slap that echoes sharply throughout the library. Next, I grab him by the collar and hiss every word, "I saw everything. You call yourself an adult? A librarian?" He sneers, threatening that this position was personally granted by Viscount Kaiman, reminding me to know my place. He roughly twists my arm back to escape, causing a searing pain that makes me grit my teeth in endurance. Nobles have self-defense weapons too. With that, I drive my high heel straight down onto his foot. Watching him hop around in agony, I coldly deliver the final blow. "It's called a high heel, you idiot." Afterward, I force him backward onto the wooden desk, completely pinning down the man who is now trembling with fear. During the struggle, a paper knife is suddenly knocked upward, spinning through the air and heading straight for his eye. At the last second, I quickly snatch the knife, just as the system notifies that I am executing the role of Kalife. I lean in close with a cold smile and demand that he bark a few more pleas for mercy. The librarian sobs and faints from sheer terror. I remain there breathing hard, my anger not yet fully dissipated. Whipping around to see Noah standing frozen, I instinctively snap, "What are you looking at? Why are you still standing there?" Noah mumbles an apology and tries to flee. I hurriedly call him back, but my tone is so sharp that he stands at attention, trembling in fear. I try to lower my voice and ask if he's hurt. Noah looks up at me, utterly bewildered and disbelieving. I sincerely apologize for ignoring him for so long and promise to protect him from now on, making my face suddenly flush with heat. Immediately, Noah takes a guarded step back. I suddenly realize that this kindness only makes him more suspicious. Switching to a tyrannical tone, I lift Noah's chin and declare that only I have the right to harm him. With tangled emotions, Noah bolts away, forgetting the books he chose and leaving me with a mess of thoughts. I rub my face to calm down, thinking that perhaps using Kalife's ways makes Noah feel safer than sudden gentleness. Finally, I resolve to protect the boy, as the system simultaneously activates a hidden quest, bring Noah's filial piety to 0. Sitting in the annex, I go over my notes on my little Noah with a heavy heart. Every path for Kalife leads to death, except for a single hidden ending. Right then, the filial piety meter suddenly appears as a reminder. I almost forgot that crucial spoiler. In the hidden ending, nobody has to die. To survive, I must become Noah's guardian for the quest, even if it's just temporary. The best way to dodge death flags is to work hard on raising the boy's filial piety. I punch the wooden wall, encouraging myself that fire-style filial piety is still filial piety. There's still hope to change destiny. Next, I check the timeline and see there are about 6 months left before the game officially starts. From now until then, I'll raise Noah to be a good kid to save both our lives. I stop by the library, pick out a few fairy tale books, and head back to my room. This will be the first step in my plan to approach the boy. Soon after, steady tap-tap sounds ring out. Rain begins to beat against the annex windows, bringing a cold chill with it. A few hours pass, the sky turns pitch black, and rain pours down in sheets. The sound of wind lashing through the trees makes the atmosphere even gloomier. I order the entire first floor to be lit, only to be turned off at bedtime. I've always hated the feeling of being swallowed by darkness. Meanwhile, I suddenly realize that Noah also hates the dark, or rather, he's absolutely terrified of it. I recall the rumors about Noah getting lost in the forest late on a rainy night, leaving him haunted by the fear of being abandoned alone. A bad feeling hits me, so I quickly call a maid and order her to check on Noah's quarters immediately. Seeing the maid hesitate because of the heavy rain, I coldly raise a fist. Want to see this fist drop? Terrified, she rushes out into the rain. A while later, the maid returns to report that Noah went out in the afternoon and hasn't returned. My heart sinks at the bad news. Knowing Noah has been gone for 4 hours since before the rain, I spring up, grab a raincoat, and scream for the brightest lamps. Immediately after, I rush out into the yard despite the mud, leading a group of servants straight toward the forest near the annex. I charge through the thick bushes with a lamp, desperately calling Noah's name. I'm frantic with worry, even knowing he's the protagonist doesn't ease the anxiety suffocating my mind. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the dark blue curtain of rain covers everything, making visibility non-existent. Noah is lost in the pitch-black darkness. It's so dark he can't even see his own feet, his heart racing with terror. He recalls the servant's mockery, forcing him to bring back a full basket of wild berries before he'd be allowed to eat dinner with them. Suddenly, Noah slips on the wet mud and tumbles down a slope. The impact in the dark causes him to completely break down. Noah tremblingly crawls up, huddling under a tree to escape the freezing rain. He wishes someone would come for him, but then tells himself that no one will. Memories of his days at the orphanage flood back, where he was always starved and bullied for his withdrawn nature. That long-standing loneliness rises once again. He remembers an old picture book saying parents love you the most. Looking at the image of a family hugging warmly, Noah can't hide his envy. Noah recalls the moment a blonde person chose to adopt him. Even though they were just called a sponsor, back then, he felt like he had met an angel. The sound of dripping water near his ear snaps Noah back to reality. He resents Kalife, yet feels conflicted by her protective actions at the library that day. Enduring the bone-chilling cold, Noah forces his trembling legs to move. He tells himself that if he sees even a flicker of light, he'll gamble everything to follow it. Suddenly, something freezing wraps around his ankle as he falls. Noah panics, feeling as if a ghoulish hand is grabbing him. He sobs hysterically, kicking at whatever is holding him and crawling through the mud, screaming for help. The rustle of bushes rings out right ahead. Two eerie glowing spots appear, the eyes of a beast closing in on Noah. Immediately after, I hear Noah's scream. My heart skips a beat as I burst into a sprint toward the sound. The lamplight reveals a dark silhouette threatening the boy. I freeze for a second, then immediately rush forward to draw the monster's full attention to myself. I punch the beast straight in the head, striking repeatedly to force it away from Noah's position. The creature shrieks in pain and retreats. Only now do I realize with a shock that it's just a small wild boar. This is insane. Though my legs are shaking, I must stand firm. I notice it's hesitating after the surprise attack, so I decide to make one final gamble. I spread my arms and legs to look as large as possible, take a deep breath, and roar powerfully, "Get out." The panicked squeal of the boar rings out as it turns and bolts into the darkness, vanishing into the rain. I sigh in relief, telling myself I'm still alive. My fingertips only now begin to tremble from the aftershock of fear. Meanwhile, I turn to check on Noah. Still in shock, the boy trembles and asks, "Who are you?" I pick up the lamp and shine it on my face so he can see clearly. Noah gasps in disbelief, "Lord Kalife, why are you here?" I tell him I came to get him. Noah breaks down into sobs when I say I have to take responsibility since I was the one who brought him here. Not knowing how to comfort him, I simply scoop the boy up. Noah clings to my neck like a koala. The more I try to pull him away, the louder he cries. Finally, I sigh in defeat and carry Noah out of the forest, heading toward the yellow light guiding the way out. Sitting in the annex, I recall the ending of My Little Noah. Kalife dies in every route, except for one hidden ending. Suddenly, the filial piety meter appears like a reminder that hidden ending is the key for everyone to survive. To live, I must become Noah's guardian per the quest, even if temporarily. Increasing filial piety is the only way to dodge death flags. I punch the wooden wall hard. Fire-type filial piety is still filial piety. There's still hope. 6 months until the game starts. Until then, I'll raise Noah into a softly filial child to ensure safety for both of us. I go to the library, pick out a few fairy tale books, then return to the annex, preparing for the child-rearing plan. Not long after, heavy raindrops start tapping against the glass pane. Hours later, the sky turns pitch black, rain pours down in sheets, and wind lashes outside the window. I order the servant to light up the first floor, as I've always hated the dark. Suddenly remembering Noah is also terrified of the dark, uneasiness starts to creep into my heart. Rumor has it Noah got lost in a rainy forest at the old estate, developing a trauma of being abandoned in the dark. I hurriedly call a servant, ordering them to check the quarters to see if Noah is okay. Seeing the servant hesitate due to the heavy rain, I raise a fist threat, "Want a beating? Go now." The servant returns with bad news. Noah went out in the afternoon and hasn't returned. My heart skips a beat. Knowing Noah left 4 hours before the rain, I jump up, grab a raincoat, and scream, "Bring the brightest lamp here." I rush out into the stormy rain, leading the servants with lamps straight toward the forest. Running deep into the forest, I scream Noah's name, ignoring the servants left behind. Meanwhile, in a corner of the forest, Noah is lost amidst the thick darkness and pouring rain, unable to find the way back. He recalls the servants' words, punished to gather a full basket of berries in the forest to earn dinner. In the pitch-black darkness, Noah slips and tumbles down the slippery slope. The boy trembles as he crawls up, curling under a tree, despairing that no one will come to save him. Memories of the orphanage flood back, deprivation, bullying, and constant loneliness. Looking at the happy family in the tattered picture book, Noah once yearned to be loved like that. The day the blonde person adopted him, even if just as a sponsor, Noah thought he was chosen. Noah is torn between resentment for Kalife and the promises of protection and responsibility she just made. Numb with cold, Noah tries to drag himself forward, telling himself he'll follow any light he sees. Wet grass brushing his leg startles him, feeling like a cold hand grabbing him. Panicking and kicking it away, Noah crawls and sobs, crying out for help. Suddenly, a pair of glowing eyes appears in the dark bushes, staring straight at him. Hearing the piercing scream, I dash toward it, yelling, "Noah!" The lamp reveals a beast threatening Noah. I freeze for a second, then rush to shield him, shouting, "You bastard!" I punch the beast's head repeatedly, hitting and dragging it away from Noah. The beast hisses and retreats. Looking closely, a wild boar. I must be crazy to fight a wild boar barehanded. My legs tremble, but I can't back down. It's small and scared, I have to take the gamble. I spread my limbs wide, puff up, take a deep breath, and roar, "Get lost." The wild boar panics and turns tail, fleeing desperately into the darkness. I exhale in relief, limbs weak, alive. Never messing with wild beasts again. Turning to Noah, I ask if he's okay. Noah trembles and asks back, "Who are you?" I shine the light on my face so he can see clearly. Noah is stunned, "Lord Kalife." I say I came to take Noah home out of responsibility. Hearing that, the boy bursts into tears. I scoop Noah up. He clings like a koala, crying louder the more I try to detach him. Defeated, I pat his bottom gently and carry Noah out of the stormy forest. Finally out of the woods, I meet the panic-stricken maid running towards us. But I coldly carry Noah straight back to the annex. Reaching the porch, I brush off the maid's offer to help, ordering her to investigate who knew Noah was missing but didn't look for him. I firmly insist on taking care of Noah myself, refusing to hand him over to the servant, which shocks her completely. Ignoring her astonishment, I carry Noah inside, carefully bathing and changing him with warm water. Seeing Noah's color return after being warmed up, I finally breathe a sigh of relief. But when I open his hand, I freeze at the sight of bleeding blisters. What was he doing in the forest? I gently stroke his small hand, wondering if Noah will hate me for having to live under the same roof. Before leaving the room to let Noah sleep, I whisper a good night, which feels strangely unfamiliar even to myself. Noah wakes up, dazed by the lingering warmth and the first good night he's ever heard in his life. The next morning, Noah is well fed and rested, wearing clean clothes and arriving at the training ground on time, looking much better after yesterday's incident. Noah still finds it hard to believe he ate with Kalife, even just tea and cake was the best experience ever. He silently resolves to study hard to prove his worth and stay at the annex longer. Right then, Baron Kolben appears with a fake, kind smile and greets Noah like an exemplary teacher. But immediately after, he starts probing about Noah staying in the forest late, mocking the boy for being slow despite the simplicity of swinging a wooden sword. Noah's hand grips the sword hilt as the obsession of swinging it 1,000 times returns, a punishment no different from torture for a child. Kolben probes to see if Noah told Kalife anything, and upon receiving a silent denial, he satisfiedly orders the lesson to begin. However, he suddenly stops and demands that Noah pay the tuition fee first. Hearing the words tuition fee, Noah's face immediately turns pale with fear. Kolben shamelessly reminds him that Kalife's earrings from last time weren't enough and demands that Noah bring something more valuable. He coldly declares that without money, there's no sword, while lying that Kalife hasn't paid his salary for a long time so he can't teach for free. The truth is Kolben still receives a regular salary under Kalife's name, but poor Noah has no idea and only feels himself being backed into a corner. He continues with sweet-coated threats, reminding Noah of the prospect of returning to the orphanage if he doesn't become useful, promising to speak well of him before Lord Kaiman. When Noah firmly refuses to touch Kalife's things again, Kolben instantly switches his tone, threatening him to steal something valuable from Lord Kaiman. Noah freezes in terror hearing the name Lord Kaiman, the man about to become the powerful Duke of Ofensa. Seeing Noah's silence, Kolben smugly pats the boy's shoulder, not forgetting to add that Kalife will sooner or later be kicked out of the annex for being a failure. Despite his lingering resentment, the image of Kalife saving him from the deep forest has sparked a new loyalty in Noah. The boy looks toward the main building with quiet resolve. Meanwhile, in the office at the annex, the atmosphere is also becoming extremely tense. Kalife calls a sturdy maid and demands an immediate report on the situation. The maid stammers as she presents a list of 3 people who knew Noah went into the forest but intentionally ignored it. Despite being interrogated, these 3 still stubbornly deny their guilt, showing no fear toward Kalife's orders. The next news shocks Kalife even more. All the gifts she had been anonymously sending to Noah for so long were intercepted by them. They ate everything inside and only gave the card to Noah, making Kalife burn with rage. She suspects the one who sent Noah into the forest and the one who ruined his palms might be the same person. Upon hearing the maid's report that they refused to speak, Kalife clicks her tongue, mocking her useless muscular strength. With a predatory smile, Kalife decides to personally educate those pests using special items she had prepared beforehand. That night, another anonymous gift package is secretly placed in front of the servant dormitory. Early morning, the 3 servants sneak into the mailroom, complaining about fatigue and regretting that Noah moved to the annex, causing them to lose their daily perks. Surprisingly, they find another anonymous package for Noah sitting on the shelf and plan to enjoy another free, lavish meal. They eagerly tear open the wrapping, finding high-end pastries that look mouth-watering. The 3 eat greedily and gloatingly, not forgetting to mock Noah for having a new backer. While they are thirsty, a mysterious female voice speaks right behind them, startling the group. Before they can regain their composure, a stream of water is splashed directly into their faces, causing the greedy trio to choke and cough uncontrollably. Kalife appears powerfully at the door with a sweet but murderous smile. "Hello, maggots." The servants freeze in fear seeing the lady, who shouldn't be here, staring at them with the eyes of death. Kalife casually questions them about stealing food, while the leader begins to realize that she is the supreme golden fairy. The 3 frantically kneel and beg for their lives, but are met only with Kalife's cold, threatening smile. She gets straight to the point, interrogating them about the mastermind who sent Noah to the forest and whether they were bribed or threatened. As she leisurely strokes her nails, Kalife asserts that she doesn't care about the reason, only a name. She gives a 10-second ultimatum: the first to confess stays, the others are kicked out immediately, along with a reminder of their gambling debts. The steady countdown rings out as the fake loyalty among the 3 servants begins to crumble under the suffocating pressure. As expected, the first servant couldn't take the heat and screamed out the truth about the sword training class. Kalife's gaze immediately becomes sharp as she locks onto the name Baron Kolben. The other 2 scramble to shift the blame, revealing that Noah was frequently punished with sword swings in the forest, which is why they didn't dare to report it. Noah steps onto the training ground looking much sharper after being well-fed and rested at Kalife's annex. Even though he still can't believe he ate with Kalife, the boy tells himself he must prove his worth to stay here longer. Right at this moment, Baron Kolben appears with a kind but completely fake smile. Immediately after, he starts probing about Noah staying in the forest late and mocks the boy for being slow. Looking at the wooden sword in his hand, Noah shudders, remembering the torture of having to swing it 1,000 times. After confirming that Noah didn't snitch to Kalife, Kolben finally agrees to start the lesson. However, he suddenly stops and holds out his hand, demanding a tuition fee. Hearing this, Noah's face turns pale, and his breathing quickens out of fear. He blatantly demands better items, claiming that Kalife's earrings from last time weren't enough. Kolben coldly declares that without money there's no teaching, making the excuse that Kalife hasn't paid his salary in a long time. The truth is he still receives his salary regularly, and only poor Noah is being suffocated by him like this. He threatens to send Noah back to the orphanage if he doesn't make himself useful. Seeing that Noah no longer wants to touch Kalife's things, he starts targeting Lord Kaiman's valuables. Noah's heart sinks into an abyss at the thought of having to cross the man about to become the powerful Duke of Ofensa. Kolben pats Noah's shoulder smugly, not forgetting to mock that Kalife will be kicked out of here sooner or later. Despite his past resentment, Noah silently promises not to betray the person who saved him in the forest as he gazes toward the main building. Meanwhile, in another room at the annex, Kalife calls a maid over and demands an immediate report on the investigation. A list of 3 people who knew about Noah going into the forest is quickly presented to her. Despite being pinpointed, these 3 stubbornly deny their guilt, ignoring Kalife's threats. Furthermore, she learns that the gifts she had been anonymously sending to Noah have been intercepted by them. Anger flares as she learns these bastards ate all the food and only gave the card to Noah. Kalife guesses the one who sent him to the forest is someone else. Hearing the maid's report of a stalemate, she clicks her tongue, mocking the servants for being all muscle and no use. Wearing a murderous smile, Kalife decides to prepare some special items to teach those pests a lesson. That night, another anonymous gift package is secretly placed in front of the servants' quarters. Early morning, 3 servants sneak in, regretting that since Noah moved to the annex, their lucrative harvest source is drying up. Suddenly seeing a new parcel addressed to Noah, they get excited, thinking they've got another bonus meal. They eagerly tear the wrapping, revealing high-end pastries that look mouth-watering. The sound of greedy chewing fills the room along with malicious mockery of Noah. While they are parched with thirst, a cold female voice suddenly speaks from right behind them, startling all 3. Before they can regain their senses, a stream of water is splashed directly in their faces, leaving them choking in panic. At the doorway, Kalife appears proudly with a sweet but bone-chilling smile. "Hello, maggots." The 3 freeze in shock as she calmly gazes at the empty cake box. Kalife catches them red-handed eating what isn't theirs, making the leader tremble as he recognizes who she is. Piteous pleas ring out, but they are met only by the young lady's ice-cold, threatening gaze. She gets straight to the point, questioning them on who bribed or threatened them to send Noah to the forest. Without needing a long explanation, Kalife casually strokes her nails and demands a single name. A 10-second ultimatum is issued: the first to confess stays, while the rest will be kicked out along with their piling debts. The countdown rings out under intense pressure, and the fake loyalty among them begins to crumble. As expected, the first servant breaks and spills everything about Noah's punishment in the sword training class.